Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We just got a whole bunch of new details about the Night King and Viserion as of the end of Season 7 that completely recontextualize what happened and the way they're going to be using him during Season 8. So we gotta break it down. There's no spoilers for Season 8 in this. This recontextualizes a lot of things, but it gives you better information for theory crafting for Season 8. So if you're finding me for the first time, be sure to subscribe to get all the Game of Thrones videos. There's a new round of that 4K Blu-ray giveaway too. I'll announce a new winner at the end of this. The big thing that just happened is the Game of Thrones was submitting for Emmys. They had to submit some of their scripts. There are a bunch of extra passages for Tormund's scene when he's standing on the wall here that clarify what happened to him when he's leaving. They give you a better idea for how he probably survived. I think we all believe that he and Beric survived, but the script, even though there's no dialogue that where the characters actually say it, it actually clarifies what happens to them. In the script, Tormund is thinking internal monologuing about the Night King and Viserion, and it completely recontextualizes it with a whole bunch of new details. There are two different parts of the script that do this, so I'll talk about the Night King and Viserion part first, just because that's the bigger one. This is the script for the finale, and this is Tormund on the wall in this scene right here, watching as the Night King and Viserion come flying in, and it reads, "But then a stranger sound comes from the north. Tormund looks to the sky and sees a moat on the horizon. It's moving fast, so fast we don't get a clear look at it or the Night King on its back before it's upon us." Then it flips to this part here where you're north of the wall staring at it as the Night King comes to bring it crashing down. It reads Viserion is hitting the wall with a blast of blue flame. Bran's meaningful birds take flight and a massive chunk of the wall breaks free ahead of Tormund. The ice dragon glides away, and we get our first clear look at him and at the Night King on his back. He's done the same thing to Viserion that he did to Craster's sons, only those were babies, and this is a dragon. So immediately, like that last part is probably the most important one. This is what everybody's kind of freaking out about a little because it doesn't totally make a lot of sense, but I'll try to explain what's going on. Because what the show is saying in this script is that Viserion is just like the White Walkers. Like instead of being an undead white that's reanimated and just controlled by the Night King like a finger puppet, he actually has a will of his own. Most people have noticed that in previous seasons, the show has already broken its own internal rules about how the Whites and the White Walkers work. There is no precedent for Ice Dragon in the book. That might be what the cliffhanger ending is for the Winds of Winter book, but we won't actually be able to verify that till the book actually comes out, which could be next year. You know, who knows when that's going to happen. But the only way that works is that he's an actual White Walker is as if he was alive when the Night King turned him, because that's not exactly how his power works. So the rules for White Walkers and Whites are that the Night King is the only person who can create new White Walkers. All of the White Walkers that we've seen on the show are Craster's sons that he sacrificed to him. That was what that scene during Season 4 was. I guess because they're trying to say that Viserion is like a White Walker, they want to have parody with this scene here where he pulls him out of the lake, touches him, and turns him the way that he turned one of Craster's sons. With exception for the ones that Bran and Jon killed in the last couple of seasons, most of these are babies that were born within the last 7 years, because you remember all of Craster's wives, like they were almost constantly pregnant, so anytime there was a son, he would just offer it up to the Night King. So Night King touches the baby, turns it into a White Walker with his power. It matures extremely rapidly, maybe within a couple years, maybe even quicker than that. So the real benefit to him turning new White Walkers is that it's sort of like him creating acolytes that can then raise armies of their own, so the army of the undead multiplies that much faster. But I think the main reason why the show wants Viserion to be like the White Walkers is so that it's not like a mindless zombie that just can only do one thing at a time, and it wants to have a really significant moment with Daenerys and the other dragons when they're all fighting each other during Season 8. The other practical reason for it to be a White Walker and not just a white is that the whites decay, like there'd almost be no internal organs by the time they get to their final battle, and it wouldn't actually have the biology to produce flame. And that's another thing here too, they also clarify that he's actually breathing flame to bring down the wall. It wouldn't make sense if he were breathing ice, it wouldn't be hot enough to melt the wall, so I think most of us assumed that he was breathing flame. But that was one of the biggest things that people talked about, like, wow, this looks cool, but hey, it totally does not make sense. There are holes in his wings. How is he still flying? What's going on here? So if you want to nitpick, you could actually say, yeah, it looks like he's decaying, and it definitely looked like he died when he went into the lake. The only way that really makes sense is if he was on the edge of death when they pulled him out of the lake on the chains. I don't think any of Craster's sons would have any loyalty for him if they were to run into him. The difference in the dragon is that it was actually fully matured when it was turned, so they probably just want to have a really WTF moment when Daenerys sees it for the first time and it recognizes the other dragons, but because Viserion has all of his cognitive function, he can actually make decisions independently of what the Night King wants him to do. Otherwise, all the whites only act when they're told to do so by the White Walkers, and they can only do one task at a time, and they'll just dash themselves against whatever obstacles in front of them until they're absolute nothingness. Like this moment where they throw the rock here, and it seems like the White actually makes a decision here. That's really the Night King and the White Walkers forcing it to do that. Normally, whites won't have that ability, but it's another good example of the show wanting to have a really awesome, holy crap TV moment without it totally making sense. Like, please don't poke holes in this, because normally the White would just stand there and wait for the White Walkers to tell them to attack.
Oh, fuck.
The other big scene that was in that script that tells you what happened to Tormund when he was running down the wall here and sort of implies that he survived goes like this. So it just reads as like the wall is crashing down. Tormund and Beric lead their wilding comrades to the stairs carved in the ice. Eastwatch has a massive zigzag stairway, not an elevator like Castle Black. They run for their lives and disappear from view. So in this moment, like all you see is just like all this ice coming crashing down on top of them while they're all running down. So it's really hard to pick them out because it's really dark, but because the characters are so important and because the actor Tormund was seen coming to the set, like everybody just kind of assumed, yeah, he's definitely going to survive. They're not going to kill him off screen like this, but it does let you know that he didn't run the other way on the wall, because there are multiple ways to escape in a situation like that. Like you could just run along the top of the wall till you get to Castle Black, or you could run down those stairs. Now we know he and Beric just barely made it out. They'll probably show up on Winterfell's doorstep, barely alive, screaming about the Night King's army that's coming. Normally what you would do with characters like that is that you would have everybody meeting at Winterfell preparing for battle because they know that something is coming. You'd have Tormund and Beric show up to freak everybody out and say that they were right around the corner. You thought that you had a week to prepare? No, they're here already. But the problem with that is that you have Bran, who can effectively see anything. Like, he is the eye of Sauron through his birds. He can see anywhere in the north that he wants, anywhere that his birds fly, or anywhere that there's a weirwood tree. So he has probably already told people about the Night King breaching the wall, so that they're already preparing. But again, just a really cool reason why it's important to read the scripts when you do have the opportunity, because it can clarify moments like this. Also really helpful for more intrigue-based plots where you have characters thinking things up in their heads. Like, we don't get that internal monologue on the show. So like the Littlefinger, Arya, Sansa plot was really unclear about what characters knew, how smart Littlefinger was, who was duping who. Like, is Littlefinger less clever than Arya and Sansa? Like, that was really hard to believe. So normally in the books, you would get an internal monologue, so you would hear what Sansa and Arya are thinking or what Littlefinger is planning, but on the show, you just kind of have to assume based on the actors' performances and the way that they cut the scenes. So post all your reactions in the comments below. I'll say congratulations to the giveaway winner from my last big video, Sarah DJ104. Please email me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. Not confirmed longer than an hour, but most people have been saying that, people associated with the production. So the assumption is, yes, they will all be feature-length episodes. But click here for my new Jaime Lannister video, and click here for my breakdown of that Season 8 panel and the spin-off panel where they explain what's going on with that new show. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.